Hello guys, welcome to PyMate. PyMate is a new YouTube channel which explains only related things about Python. Mainly we focus on Python and Python related applications like data science, machine learning, deep learning, artificial intelligence, natural language processing. All things will be covered. So this will be covered step by step once we go through with Python core part and then Python applications and then new technologies which can be implemented with Python. So let's move the core part of the Python. So before going to Python details, we have to understand the programming. What is the programming and how we will program the things. So languages, which programming languages are there, which one is easy. So we will compare all the languages with Python. Then we will know the concepts in Python. Then we can proceed whichever we want. So okay, let's see what is programming. So programming is the implementation of logic to facilitate specified computing operations and functionalities. That means whichever we want to do analogically, then we have to do it digitally. That means we have to design some system to through that work or any task. So that task can behind the task something will be there. That is called logic. So that logic will be implemented through programming. So if you want to do some work, you want to work, you want to open your TV, you want to switch on your fan. That can be done implementing a logic inside the device. That logic is nothing but programming. So the program is implementation of logic to facilitate specific computing operations and functionalities. Here the operation is the rotating fan and functionality is switch on the fan. So these kind of things will be done with programming. It can be done in any languages. It can be done in, there are so many languages. Languages are three types: low level language, middle level language, high level languages. So like we are having Telugu, Hindi, English, Urdu, some regional languages. In this also, in computer technology, we have so many languages. So in every language we can design logic. That means we can do programming. That means those will be differ by application oriented or domain oriented or with some programming models. The most required thing for programming is it requires knowledge of application domains and algorithms and programming language expertise. If you want to do program a thing or if you want to solve a task or solve a thing with programming, just the thing is you have to know programming application domains, which domain you want to apply this program, and some algorithms through which algorithm you want to solve this task. Some any programming language expertise is needed. That means you need to know the language first, programming language. That means if you are in some South India region, if you want to go some North India region, you have to know that North Indian region language also, right? That is why if you are expertise in that language, then you can survive there. That means you can speak with them, you can live with them, the people in the North region. So the thing is you have to know that language. So here also in computer society, in computer technology, we need any programming language to do programming. It might be anything. There are low level, middle level, high level, like C, C++, Java, JavaScript, HTML, and some low level languages are there, Pascal, Fortran, Basic. Those are very old languages, but powerful they are. And high level languages, the C, Java, Python, all these things. So before doing the programming, there will be some Like our English, suppose let's take universal language English. If you want to speak English, you should know some grammatical parts, some structure of the language form, sentence form. Likewise, here programming also we require some syntax and semantics. These are very significant terms relating to any programming language. So let's see what is syntax and semantics. The syntax in programming language involves the set of permitted phrases of a language. Permitted phrases, that means the syntax means how should be the structure of that program, how should be the structure of that implementation, that block of code. That is called syntax. Coming to semantics, whichever we have written the code that expresses the associated meaning of that phrase. Syntax means the set of permitted phrases, where the semantics means the associated meaning of that phrase. Like this, these are two related, and we require these two. And then after syntax and semantics, there are two most powerful tools in programming. That means if you want to make easier the programming, you should know some two concepts, algorithm and flowchart. See, the algorithm is a step-by-step process to analyze the task. That means algorithm is step-by-step analysis of the process, while the flowchart is the graphical representation of that algorithm. So you will be written the step-by-step process to solve the task. That step-by-step process will be represented with pictorial form or graphical form. That is called flowchart. So let's move deep into syntax and semantics and algorithm and flowchart. Okay. So syntax and semantics of program these are used to construct an application. Through programming, if you want to construct an application, you should follow some semantics and syntax of any programming language. The syntax of programming language is collection of rules to specify the structure or form of code. That means in our English language, there will be grammatical structure for sentence, or active voice, passive voice. There will be some structure for all the sentences like subject, object, verb forms, all those things. In here also we will have some collection of rules to specify the structure or form of code. Whereas coming to semantics, it refers to the interpretation of the code or associated meaning of the symbols, characters and any part of the program. Like in English we are using verbs, object, subject, right? The associated meaning of that object and verb and subject is called semantics. That means in programming we will be using some symbols, like either it may be operation, it may be arithmetic operation, logical operation, that the associated meaning represents the semantics. That might be any symbol, that might be character or any part of the program. So it might be some statements. So coming to syntax, it refers to the rules and regulations of writing any statements in a programming language. Like C, it might be C, C++, Java, and it might be Python also, for every language. It does not have to do anything with the meaning of the statement. It doesn't require any meaning. It does not deal with meaning, but it mandates the structure of that programming language. That means you should follow this structure. You should follow this kind of things. That is what syntax says. A statement is syntactically valid if it follows all the rules, so which are defined under any programming language. Those rules should be followed. Then only the programming code syntactically will be correct. It is related to the grammar and structure of the language. Yes, as in any speaking language like English, there will be grammatical parts. So in that way, in programming language, there also syntax is related to grammar and structure of the language. So coming to semantics, it refers to the meaning associated with the statement in the programming language. As we defined in the definition only, It refers to an associated meaning of the statements. It is all about meaning of statements which interprets the program easily. So to understand that program, the semantics will explain the meaning of that symbol or that character which are used in the program. Errors are handled at runtime in semantics. When you know semantics, that errors which are occurring in the program while execution, that means runtime, they will be handled easily. So coming to flowchart and algorithm. So algorithm flowchart helps to understand the step-by-step process of any task. That means they make it as simpler for any beginner or advanced. Even if you make advanced application, you can simplify it with designing algorithms and flowcharts. Because algorithm will be step-by-step process and the flowchart will be pictorial form of that algorithm. That means graphical way. See, the algorithm is a sequence of activities to be processed for getting desired output from the given input. The input given by the user. So with that input, we have to get some desired output. We have to do some operations. Those operations will be written step by step in the algorithm. That is called algorithm. Some famous person, Donald Irving, has given a list of 5 parameters for algorithm. So there will be 5 properties for algorithm. So that is finiteness. An algorithm must always terminate after a finite time. That means algorithm should end somewhere. It should not continue forever. That means if it flows forever, our system may corrupt after some time. It cannot run. That is why it should be finite. It should run for some time and it has to be terminated. That is called finiteness and definiteness. Each and every part of the or step of the algorithm should be definite. It should be well defined. Why we are writing that statement. So why only here? Why not some other step? So that should be well defined. And input. So to process any algorithm, we need some input. Either it may be manually, it might be from user, or it might be automated through some generation algorithms. Any operation you perform needs some beginning value. That means that is called input. And the final is output. So when we are giving, we always expect some output. It might be our desired form, some in other, but we should expect some output. And effectiveness. Algorithm should be developed effectively. That means we should use some basic things in that and very understandable operations. Even some beginner also should understand that. Then only it will become effectiveness. That means everyone can understand. So this is the example. So algorithm example is write algorithm to find a greater number between two numbers. That means we are given x or y or a and b. So given two numbers a and b, in those we have to find the greatest number. The first step is we have to start the process, and then step 2 is read input a and b. So we require two numbers for right. So after reading those inputs, first we need to do one task. We have to compare a and b. So if a greater than b, then c is equal to a. Here c is the result of the algorithm. If a greater than b, then c is equal to a. Otherwise, if b greater than a, c is equal to b. If b greater than a, then c is equal to b. Then after these two steps, we will get some result that means stored in C, right? So then we can print directly C. So we got the output of the greatest number between two numbers. So process will be end. So these are the steps to required to select a greatest number between two numbers. So these are the 6 steps are required. So it might for this algorithm, for this task we require only 6 steps. Some more tasks they may require so many steps. So likewise, step by step we have to process the algorithm. And one more algorithm. Write algorithm to find the result of its equation f of x is equal to minus x if x less than 0 and plus x if x greater than or equal to 0. That means if input is given less than 0, we have to result minus of that input. That means we have to represent that number negative. If input given is positive, that means greater than or equal to 0, then we have to represent like that. So first thing is we have to start and read the input of x, and if x is less than 0, then f is equal to minus x. So we check with x. If x less than 0, then result is f. F should be minus x. If x greater than 0 or equal to 0, f greater than 0 or equal to 0, then f is equal to x. F will be as it is, whichever given as it is in the question. Then after these two steps, f will be stored some value, then we can print directly that f. So we got the final answer, then we can end the process. These two are called basic algorithms to solve a task, the given task. This is about algorithm. So algorithm is, finally we conclude that algorithm is step-by-step process to solve any task. So like this. Coming to flowchart. Flowchart is a diagram which visually represents an algorithm which is given previously. The flowchart diagram visually represents the flow of data throughout the processing system. That means the data flow from which device to which device the data is flowing. With some block of code, result will come. That result can be input to some other block of code. So like that, the flow of the data can be easily represented with flowchart. Flowchart is a blueprint that pictorially represents the algorithm. So whichever we written the step-by-step process, those step-by-step process will be represented in pictorial form. Coming to flowchart. So flowchart has so many benefits among them. So simplifies the logic. In words, we cannot understand all the things easily. If we represent them in picture form or image form, some graphical form, we can understand easily. That means we grasp easily the pictorial forms. So that's why this simplifies the logic and makes communication better, because we can understand easily the pictorial forms, so we can communicate easily to solve any task. Effective analysis. We can analyze easily and effectively. That means one step-by-step process will be pictorial form, not the words, because every step is given in the picture form. So what is happening, how is happening, everything will be in a picture. That is why we can analyze it effectively and easily. This will be helpful in coding. If you want to design a code or programming for a task, if you understand the pictorial form, so step by step, then you can easily write the program. So what to do, when to do, where to do, at what step data is like something, or data is in this form, data is in that form. So that form of data can be easily processed with this flowchart. And then finally we can test the program properly with this flowchart. So it helps finding the errors in program. The main thing is applicable documentation. So the flowchart also helpful in preparing a proper document for any written code. Whichever we are written, the proper documentation can be done with flowchart. So to write the flowchart, we have some symbols. So we have given here, right, start, read input, and comparison, greater than or less than, and then ending and printing some information. So in that way, we have some symbols to represent in flowchart. This symbol is called start. We use this symbol for start or end of the algorithm or start of the algorithm. This symbol will be used, and then this symbol will be used for action or process symbol. Whichever, if you want to show some information, then you can use this box and then you can write something on that, whichever you want to show. And this symbol is decision symbol. That means any condition is written in that algorithm, that condition can be represented with this symbol. And input and output symbol, input or output, whichever if you are taking input, some a is equal to b, some a is equal to 3 or a is equal to 5, that can be written in with this form of box. So to take input, we represent with this box. If you are taking input manually, that means from user, if you are taking input from user, we have to represent with this box. And this is the connector symbol. Connector symbol means it integrates some 2 or more steps, from which this box and this box, these 2 boxes will be integrated with connector symbol. That means it matches these 2 into one thing. And R symbol, it indicates the process flow continues in more than 2 branches. That means, so after the process, if you are having some more process, you can represent them with this symbol, R symbol. And then summing junction symbol. Summing junction symbol indicates a point in the flowchart where multiple branches converge back into single process. That means, like, so you are taking input manually and some input from user. So if you want to combine these 2 into single one, you can use this summing junction. So like, also merge symbol also there, indicate a step where 2 or more sublist or subprocess become one. To make 2 subprocess one process, you can use merge symbol. And collate symbol, it indicates a step that orders information into standard format. So any information can be standard format, information can be represented with collate symbol. And sort symbol, it indicates steps that organizes a list of items into sequence or sets based on some predetermined criteria. That means it organizes all the steps step by step. Those forms can be represented with sort symbol. And loop limit symbol indicates the point at which a loop should stop. That means limit of the loop, higher limit of the loop can be represented with this one. And manual loop, that means it indicates a sequence of commands that will continue to repeat until stopped manually. That means with manual action we can stop that loop. In that case, we should represent with this symbol. And database symbol can be used with whichever you want to, any data representation. That means a list of information with standard structure that allows for searching or sorting. To represent that type of data, you can use database symbol. And display symbol, so to represent the information to user, you can use display symbol. And a delay symbol, that means if you want to delay some process, you can represent that process with symbol. And subroutine symbol, subroutine is, this is a process embedded within a large process. That means if you're running a large program, that program consists of some subpart from the other file, that means other program. So here you mention that program which is not in this program. That means the controller goes to that process and comes to this process, but process will be as it is, that called as subroutines. So subpart of the program, to represent this we will use subroutine symbol, right? These are the symbols to represent the flowchart. So with these popular symbols, using these popular symbols, you can write flowchart effectively and easily understandable. So coming to examples, draw a flowchart to find greater number between 2 numbers, which we have written algorithm, right? To find the greatest number between 2 numbers. So let's try a flowchart for the same. So if you want to try, we have explained this, right? These all the boxes. So if you want to try, you can pause this video and draw the flowchart. So otherwise, let's continue this. So this is a flowchart for given question. That means you have to find the greatest number between two numbers. So first step is starting and then read the AB numbers, AB values. Then we have to see star symbol is this one and read input. Input information is this one. If you are taking manual input, you should be used other symbol. Right? Okay, then we got A and B values. Then we have to compare these two. If A greater than B, so if A greater than B, that means true. If it is true, then comes to this part. If it is false, that means A less than B, comes to this flow. So if it is A greater than B, then print A. That means A is greater than B. So control prints A, then process will be enabled. If it is false, that means A is less than B, then prints B. That means B is greatest. So prints B and process will be ended. So like this is a flowchart for to find the greater number between two numbers. So this is very easy, right? So the thing is we have to compare this, and if it is true like this, if it is false like this. So this is about flowchart. And one more flowchart. Draw flowchart to find the result of equation like this. Whichever we have written the same algorithm for this. So represent the flowchart for this one. If you want to represent flowchart for this, you can go to algorithm by passing video and go back to algorithm of this question. Then following that algorithm, you can design flowchart. Otherwise, let's follow this. So for this problem, first we need to start the process. So starting symbol, and then we have to read input, that is X. So we are reading X with symbol in. Then we have to compare this because we have to represent X with minus X if it is less than 0, then positive X if greater than or equal to 0. So we have to compare this. If n greater than 0, which we read the input, if n greater than 0 is true, that means n greater than 0, not 0. If it is true, print n as it is, right, as per this question. And then if it is false, that means X is less than 0, then it is false, then comes to this flow. Okay, yeah, the thing is here it is X greater than or equal to 0, but here it is X n greater than 0. This should be greater than or equal to 0. So rectify this one. It should be greater than or equal to 0. Then if it is true, it comes this flow. If it is false, that means n less than 0, it comes this flow. Then prints minus n, negative of n. Then process will be ended like this. So these two are flowcharts. So this one is one flowchart and this one is further flowchart. Alright. These are about algorithms, flowchart, and programming concepts. Some syntaxes, semantics, what are the syntax, semantics, and then powerful tools for programming are algorithm and flowchart. So based on this, shall we try some tryouts on this? That means some reviews, checking the knowledge of this topic. See this one. So you can try all these things. You can analyze yourself and then fill in the blanks and then define programming in your own. So based on this concept, whichever I explain, based on this explanation, how do you define programming and what is the need of algorithm and flowchart? See, you do in your own words. No need to copy in internet or some books. You do in your own words. Not a problem. So you have to know your understanding, right? So that is why you do it on your own. Define programming like however you understood this concept. Otherwise, you can comment in comment section. So what is programming? How you understood the programming, and how did you get usage of algorithm and flowchart? So you can comment them or you can analyze yourself. Better you can comment them because others will know and your views can be visible to others also. So the thing is here, so to design algorithm, a question is there. Vamshi goes to market for buying some fruits and vegetables. He is having 500 with him for marketing. Okay. From a shop, he purchases 2 kg apple priced 50 per kg. That means 2 kg apples he purchased 1 kg apple is 50 rupees and 1.5 kg mango priced 35 kg. That means 35 per kg. So 1.5 kg mangoes, which is price of 35 per kg, and 2.5 kg potato priced at 10 rupees per kg, and 1 kg tomato priced at 15 per kg. So these are the items which Vamshi purchased from market, and he gives the currency of 500 to shopkeeper. Find out the amount that shopkeeper will return to Vamshi, and also tell the total items purchased. Okay, you have to represent this with algorithm. So you can read amount from the user, then information. You can represent information. Which information you have to represent? This 2 kg apple, half price at 50 per kg, then 1.5 kg mango, then 2.5 kg potato, then 1 kg tomato. Right? You have to represent this information with respective box. Then in the process, another box, you have to calculate all the sum. Then you have to find out the sum. Then you have to compare the things. Which things? Total price of these items, then actual value of the Vamshi, which you are having the Vamshi with him. Vamshi having 500, right? So that 500, then this total price of the purchased items should be compared or subtracted from each other. Then if he finds the positive value, then shopkeeper will return that amount to Vamshi, right? So if this 500 is less than the actual amount of these items, then shopkeeper asks some amount to Vamshi, whichever required. So we have to compare and subtract or subtract the things. Based on that value, you have to demand the Vamshi, or Vamshi demands shopkeeper, right? And one thing is, tell the total items purchased. So you can easily tell total items purchased, right? What did he purchase? Apple, mango, potato and tomato. So by counting all these, you can directly return the value. And then draw a flowchart to find the largest of three numbers x, y, z. So we designed a flowchart for largest number between two numbers, right? We designed flowchart for largest number between two numbers. The thing for you is, you have to design flowchart for largest number of between three numbers. Among three numbers, you have to find the largest number. For that, you have to draw a flowchart. So try all these things, and if you need any help, you can comment them. Otherwise, if you understood concepts very well, you can like this video or share this video. And still, if you think still something missing in this video, you can comment them and you can suggest them, so that we can improve the concept which are required to actually followed be the concepts which should be followed. Then we can follow them strictly by the next video. So for this today, these are the things which can be expected in the part of introduction to program. These main things should be known for any programmer, that means a beginner. So meanwhile, if you go step by step into the any programming, you will know the things automatically by proceeding some concepts. by facing new things, new concept, you have to find out them and we have to search them on your own. Then you can make it simpler, right? So this is all about today's video. Still, if you need any doubts, if you have any doubts, you can comment them. Still, if you need any new concepts, you can suggest them in the comment section. In the next video we can cover all these things. Okay, thank you.